Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier taking a look at race number 5 at Santa Anita. We close out one pick 5. We begin another with the Kentucky Derby prep race. The Grade 3 Robert B. Lewis, $150,000 is the purse. Our stakes preview coverage is presented by DRF Bets. Please sign up. You'll access a $200 free bet with no deposit required when you input the promo code FREEBET09 at DRF/join. Here's the field for race number 5 at Santa Anita. Good field of thrills. You know, this is a really competitive race. It's basically a non-winners of one other than, as Bradfree reported in his DRF Plus advance, but it's a competitive race.
Yeah, I think this is one of those races where you look at it and you say the A-listers did not come for this race. For one reason or another, they're out of town, they're waiting for another prep, whatever it may be. That doesn't mean that it's not a good race. You've still got some talent in here, but I don't think we have the McKinseys and the Instilled Regards and the Marinos of the world just yet. They're probably waiting for another spot or somewhere else. Doesn't mean that this isn't going to be a fun race.
I think Ayakara's got some potential for the DeZormo boys. 8-1 on the morning line on this Keeneland graduate, adding blinkers for the first time in the third start of the form cycle. Last time out in the Eddie Logan, they tried her on turf, didn't have to like it. The Gold Rush was a good effort, but maybe not his best surface synthetic. And then the front runner, he ran into the aforementioned Solomini, Bolt d'Oro, the really good lights. You take out those 3 races, you're left with a rock-solid maiden win at Del Mar.
Yeah, this is a horse that I have always been trying to make a little bit better than maybe he is, but I kind of agree with you. I feel like if you go through, take out those last 2 races, you're left with 2 route races on dirt, and I thought they were both pretty good. I think he's just a grinder, and that's going to be a little bit of an issue, I think, at Santa Anita. The profile, 2 turns, it's very, very helpful to be forwardly placed. I can't imagine there's a scenario where he's forwardly placed. I think he's going to be probably taken to the back even with the blinkers going on. I think he can run a little bit. I just don't know if this is the spot.
Well, let's see where it'll be on the Timeform US pace projector. The 4 Lambo is expected to go to front, and there's the 1 Ayakara lingering near the back of the pack. And that blue bar, though, might work against Ayakara, favoring horses on or near the early lead. So perhaps an advantage for the recent maiden special winner Lambo. Is going to have to stretch out. I don't see why this horse can't get a 1:16 from a pedigree standpoint.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, the dam, she was great at stakes place, and she was a stakes winner going a little bit longer. Great R, we know what he was capable of when he was right for Todd Pletcher. I have to be honest, I loved everything about that maiden score. He was going 6.5 furlongs. It is a big ask going from 6.5 to 8.5. Mike Pender doesn't usually do things that are, I don't want to say edgy, but he doesn't usually take giant leaps of faith unless he thinks that the horse fits. I think this horse makes all the sense in the world, particularly if you believe that. If he can back this thing down to 47 for a half, I think he can get very, very brave.
Sitting second on the pace projectors, the number 5, Shivimi Timbish, who beat Peace 2 starts back in his 2-turn debut at Del Mar. He was really game that day. You know, Peace kind of loomed on the outside and poked ahead in front. Shivimi Timbers battled back. Some folks might say, well, that was Peace lollygag, and that's why we got blinkers 2 starts afterwards now for Peace. But Shivimi Timbers in the sham, he's never going to beat the kind of horses like McKinsey. But I thought all in all, it was an inoffensive performance, and you could categorize this as a drop in class.
You know, and really that's kind of the question for him and Peace and some of these other runners. Can you win the junior varsity race? You may not be able to win the varsity race. Can you win the junior varsity race? At this point, maybe down the road they'll turn into big players, but I think that's really the crux of it. Do you think that they're good enough to get the job done here? Because they're going to be the 2 choices that I think everyone's going to kind of gravitate toward.
As for Keeneland grad, Peace, the number 7, Mike Smith aboard at 3-1 on the morning line. Just missed a Shiver Me Timbers in that race, and then came back to win a maiden race at Santa Anita at this distance on December the 30th. But I think Mandela wants the blinkers on to get this horse to focus better. I believe in the race advance for this. They mentioned he's fallen asleep once he made the front.
Yeah, Mike Smith had mentioned that to Richard Mandela, that you don't always get what you need out of him. He just kind of lollygags a little bit. I have to be honest, even having said that, small sample size, past 5 years, dirt first time blinkers, 1 for 14 with a 42-cent ROI. I don't particularly like Peace. I think he's fine. He's just kind of blah to me. Maybe he's going to prove me wrong and he's going to jump up in a big way Saturday. I'll be against him.
Here is a positive Mandela formulator fact, though. Over the past 5 years, last now maiden winning 3-year-olds on dirt. It's almost always a sign, you know, they kind of know where to place these horses. 30%, a $3.13 return on investment. Speaking of guys that know how to place their horses in graded stakes at Santa Anita, this guy named Baffert, I hear, is pretty good. I think it's worth saying something that the 8 Regulate, still a maiden from 3 lifetime starts, a horse that has lost to Pepe Tono, Blame the Rider, Peace, and Dark Vader, is here.
Yeah, you know, I I've been following this horse for some time now, and 2 starts back, I said, well, he was just miserably wide. I don't want to hold that against him. A little bit green, goofy with the lead changes. Then he shows up in that most recent start, and I'm licking my chops going, this is it. This is when you're going to go through. And then one thing leads to another. He's wider than wide again. He's up there pushing a pretty hot pace, and he packed it in bad. The fact that he shows up and Baffert has the confidence to continue on with him and go right to a graded stakes race, let alone a maiden race, I think that speaks volumes. And also, if you believe the pace projector, why can't he be forwardly placed? Why can't he be the one pressing the 4? And if the 4 can't go on with it, can he just inherit it?
I think there's a good chance that he's going to sit a great trip, and I think he's better than he looks on paper for all the reasons that you mentioned. That last race where he lost to Pepe Tono, that was a wicked pace. He was close. Pepe Tono came with a run, and on paper you're going to say, well, Pepe Tono just beat this horse. Pepe Tono might be hard-pressed to beat this horse ever again.
I got to be honest, and we'll talk about Pepe Tono. I don't want to hold it against him.
Not at all.
But at the same time, wasn't that the perfect storm? Wasn't that everything that you needed to have happen? He ran fine. He looks like he'll run all day. I just don't know that you're going to get the same situation here, and if you reverse the setups, I think Regulate's probably just better.
Blame the Rider also came from off the pace in that maiden win, improving with blinkers to finish 3rd. Like Regulate, he is a maiden. His dam really loved an extra distance, so maybe the longer distances work to this horse's advantage.
Yeah, this one's also a half to Small Town Talk, who was graded stakes place dirt router, so you've got a lot of positive things in there as far as distance is concerned.
Inscom, the number 5, understand why they put him on turf. He's a half to Lochte, grade 1 stakes winner on the lawn, but this dam could step on the dirt and is by distorted humor. One race on the dirt. Now, okay, got beat by Dark Vader, but let's look at it. It was at Los Al, where a lot of times weird things happen. The horse ran with blinkers. He was 9 to 10. Somebody thought he could step on dirt.
Yeah, and you look at the price tag. I mean, clearly they paid a boatload of money for him, you know. And Simon Callahan's barn is due to get heated up. He's 0 for 16 as we're taping this, but at the same time, based on how he performed over the course of 2017, we know what Callahan's barn's capable of. I think it's a nice, interesting placement to put him on dirt, particularly after the debacle on the start. I wonder if this is an instance where this is the final thing. You find out if he can do it, and if he can't, you go back to the grass.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 3 Robert B. Lewis Stakes. You're hoping that really the force is with you with the 3 Dark Vader, a nose winner at Los Al last time out at 10 to 1. Let's talk about this Ohio bred.
The big thing for me that I like most about this horse is that Los Al race, you've got to deal with a giant stretch. And he just continued and he grinded and grinded, and he wanted to win. He wanted to beat you. There is a scenario in my head where this race, I don't know how many of these horses want to beat you. I think this horse does. He wants to go and get the job done. He reaches, this is all what he wants to do. If you think that he can get relatively close, now the pace projector has him coming from almost out of it, which to me, that's a disaster if he's that far back. I think if he can sit 2 or 3 lengths off and try to start making some sort of a move. If I don't love the sort of, I'm kind of viewing Shiver Me Timbers and Peace as one and the same. If I like one of them, I have to like both of them. I don't really love either one of them. If I don't love them, Ayakara I like, he's going to have too much to do. Pepe Tono had everything work out for him. Lambo, if I don't know if he can stretch out. That leads me to this horse where I like the fact that he wants to win. The distance isn't a problem. He just needs to stay within range.
Your single race picks are 3, 4, 8, and 1. Dark Vader will certainly be a playable price. How do you play the various pick 5s?
Yeah, well, this is going to be an instance where probably if I want to be alive to my horse in the payoff leg, the one that I really like. So Dark Vader, I'll also include Lambo, because I think those are the 2 for me that I'm most interested in. But, and maybe it sounds silly, but starting a new pick 5 sequence, I'm inclined to go a little bit deeper because I know that there's going to be other races down the road.
You and I look at this race a little bit differently. Your picks are way more interesting than mine. Shiver Me Timbers, I think it's the old stalk pounce, sitting off of Lonbo, and the experience he gained from his first start against winners against the highly touted McKinsey should serve him well. And if he does go off at something like 3 to 1, I think that's fair. Peace, I think, is finally going to live up to that potential one of these days. I think he'll give a good account of himself. Those are the 2 I would lean on in multiple race wagers. Again, very uninteresting. For me, it's 5, 7, 4, and 2 in the Grade 3 Robert B. Lewis, one of several good graded stakes races at the Great Race Place on Saturday. And if you're playing those races, again, please consider DRF bets, because a $200 free bet is nothing to sneeze at. No deposit required when you go to drf.com/join and use the promo code FREEBET09. Approximate post time for the Robert B. Lewis, 2:30 Pacific on Saturday. Best of luck.